everybody. Welcome back. Today I would like to talk about breathing. Most natural thing in the world, but somehow as wind players we often struggle with it. The problem is that our breathing, posture, support and also our general state of mind are all interconnected. If your posture isn't quite right, your diaphragm can't work properly. If you're tensing up too much in order to support your sound, your diaphragm can't work properly. Or if you're just feeling a little bit stressed out, odds are your muscles are quite tense and your breathing is shallow. So, what to do? First, let's talk about the diaphragm, your most important breathing muscle. So what's the diaphragm? It is a muscle sheet, a membrane, that separates your heart and lungs from your lower intestines. When you breathe in, the diaphragm moves down and the rib cage expands. And when you breathe out, it comes back up and your rib cage collapses. It is quite useful to picture that movement of in and up when you're breathing out or blowing into your instrument, or singing for that matter. Because we often do the opposite of that. We often, when we get to the end of a phrase or we feel like, oh, we're starting to run out of air, we kind of push that last bit of air out of our chest, so kind of pushing down, which then completely squashes the diaphragm and makes it impossible to breathe afterwards. In order to take a good breath, we should interfere with our natural breathing system as little as possible. Focus all your attention on breathing out and then just relax and let the air come in. Let's look at a good posture that will facilitate that. Sitting down right now, let's stand up for a minute. Legs are about hip width apart. Maybe let's move our hips, just circle our hips a little bit so they're flexible. Bend your knees a tiny bit as well so there's not too much pressure on the hips. And now let's just move the hip forward just a tiny bit. And feel how your spine builds itself up from the lowest vertebra. So you can relax your upper back completely, because we don't want any tension in our back because it needs to stay flexible. Otherwise the lungs can't really expand. Your rib cage goes down much lower in the back and the ribs are bigger and further apart. And most of the breathing actually goes on in your back here because there's much more room for it. So let's just find the position, especially if you have a hollow back. And if you wear heels, which then makes it even worse, then our hip tilts forwards like that. But we want the opposite. We want it to move this way. There we are. Now let's practice breathing together for a little bit. Find that position, that good position where your spine is upright, but you still feel comfortable as well. You can let your arms just hang next to your body. Or you could put your hands into your waist so you can really feel your rib cage expand. And let's just take a few breaths in and out. In and out. If we now want to practice this reflex that happens when you're breathing in, a good way to do it is breathing out with fast air with a purpose. And then when you get to the end of your breath, just hold the tension for a second. Really feel your stomach muscles tense up there. And then the only thing you need to do is relax and let the air just come in on its own, as such. So it's a reflex that when the air comes in. Make sure also that at the end of the breath, you don't collapse here. A little trick, what you can do is just lift your breastbone just a tiny bit at the end, just to counteract that collapsing here at the front. And the other thing is, in the moment, just when you're about to relax your stomach muscles, also drop your chin. So you're playing the flute, it goes. Yeah, because when you drop your chin, you create a lot of space here in your mouth and a lot of air can come in very quickly. The easiest way to find this perfect alignment when you're sitting down is to come from the two opposite extremes. So one of them is slouching and the other one is just being completely overstretched. It's like if your teacher said at school, sit straight, you know, and then you're in this overstretched position. From that position, you just need to calm down a little bit until you feel your sitting bones on the chair. And that position is upright but still flexible. Now let's look at ways how you can practice breathing with your instrument. Firstly, long notes. Pick a note, any note, and play it in a nice healthy mezzo forte. When you're starting to run out of air, make sure you keep your ribcage lifted and start feeling the tension that's building up in your stomach muscles. Hold that tension just for a couple of seconds and then relax while dropping the jaw at the same time. Next, practice slow tunes. Now, the flautists among you will probably all have this book, Marcel Mouilly's 24 exercises. Very famous. The other book that I like to use is by my teacher, Robert Wynne, Melodies for Developing Tone and Interpretation, which also has lovely slow tunes in it. Any slow tune will do. Maybe there's a lovely slow movement in the piece you're working on at the moment. As long as the notes aren't too complicated and you can really focus purely on the breathing. If you like this video, then please click on the like button. I'd really appreciate it. Do also subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the next videos. Next one is going to be on support and how it all fits in with your breathing system. Have a great weekend and see you next time.